All right, Bloomberg is scaring you that low prices are bad. This is your favorite half Chinese. Anyway, so this is a nice video from Bloomberg. Actually, I already made a video on this subject, not about Bloomberg, but on the subject that when you are analyzing a socialist economy, you should do it through the eyes of socialism, not through the eyes of capitalism, because the two can't work together. Let's listen.
China's economy is facing a new threat. While most of the world battles inflation, China is grappling with consumer prices that are just too low.
Consumer prices that are just too low. Before we go any further, please smash that like button right now, share and follow. Thank you. Just imagine an American family working, both people are working, both parents are working, kids are going to school, they can just barely get around. Coming back from the grocery stores without eggs because they cannot afford eggs, because it has become so expensive. And then you have this beautiful lady are telling you, in China, the price, it's so bad. China is in crisis, the prices are just too low, too low. I think that American family were like, what? I don't have an ashtray here. Throw it to the screen, right? I mean, honestly, this is the difference between capitalism and socialism. In the other video, I already explained. So in capitalism, the economy evolves around capital, making more capital. But for who? For the elite, what we call the elite, or sometimes the 1%. And in socialism, the economy is to serve the people. So it evolves around them. So in socialism, when you have overproduction, the prices will drop. Well, China is making a lot of goods, so the prices will drop. The things, how they make it in China is extremely efficiency related today. I think they have the most sophisticated and most best factories in the world right now, right? Most efficient factories in the world now. So, of course, the prices will be cheaper. I want Western people to understand, especially the ones living in a capitalist nation, right? Understand that our ancestors were making bread with their hands, right? They could only make so much, and they could only buy so much grain. So the bread of that time should actually be way more expensive than today, where we have factories and machines. You know, you have artisan bread makers or bakeries, but they also have the machines to knead the dough, etc., right? Just like I do. So why is it that today our bread is so much more expensive than in the past? While in the past the quality was even higher than today, today the quality is lower. It's being made by bigger bulk than before. The whole entire production leading up to that loaf of bread is way cheaper than before. But yet the prices go up, go up, go up, and go up. And the people in the West, we eat a lot of bread, right? How is that possible? And nobody thinks about it. Wait a minute, this is not correct. But maybe it's because we are listening to young ladies like this lady that influence you into thinking that low prices are bad for you. It only makes sense. And that is exactly what socialism does. It makes sense, right? It doesn't cost so much anymore. So why would you charge somebody so much? Now, from a capitalist way, it totally doesn't make sense. Of course not. I mean, you have all these stakeholders, those billionaires, that 1%. I mean, come on, it's almost Christmas. They need to buy a new mansion for the kids, a new car for the other kid. They need to buy a new apartment for the mistress. They need to put 100K on an OF girl. They need to fly in an Instagram girl to their private island, which they also still need to pay off, and all these kind of things. So of course they need to raise the prices to afford all that. right? They also have to give 10 million bucks to their wife. Otherwise, she will divorce them because she knows everything. And then she will take everything. Anyway, that was just a joke.
And it could be worse than the official numbers tell us. China's official consumer inflation data.
All right, so this is typical propaganda, very smooth in it. Why? Look at all the police. This picture has nothing to do with economy, right? Nothing to do with the subject. Why would you put it in your video as a clip? This is silently indoctrinate you into thinking, oh, China is so bad. Everywhere is police oh my God, look at these people. They're being oppressed. Oh, they have to walk in line. Otherwise, bad things will happen. They will be arrested. This is the image that they want to print in your head. And this is exactly why so many people have this really, really weird image of China, which is so far away from the truth that you cannot even get to it with an airplane. But just wanted to slip that in, just like they're slipping in that propaganda.
There's limited detail, and it's not entirely clear how it's tracked. Bloomberg tracks 67 everyday items. I found that prices are falling in 51 of them.
So this is very interesting what she said. So they don't know how the things are being tracked, but they can track it, right? And 51 one of them, and all prices are dropping.
Is spreading. A brutal price war is breaking out across China's entire economy.
Yeah, because they're competing.
If one company starts cutting prices, their competitors have no choice but to follow.
Yeah, so this is the thing. So in the West, we are talking about a free market, but our market isn't free. Our market is totally monopolized, all right? We're buying things from the same people. If you're going to another shop, the only thing that's different is the sign and the name on the shop, right? All these big brands are all owned by the same companies, the so-called investors, right? And the ones who are on top of those, they are the real big owners. So there is no competition. That is why when we look at the West, we had no innovation. That is why when you look at phones like iPhone, for example, for a very long time, they were number one in China. But the competition in telephones in China is so high that it drives innovation up so much. And that is why iPhone wasn't able to keep up with the innovation of companies like Huawei, for example, right? They're now not even in the top 5 from number 1 because they cannot keep up. Why? Because they are used to having a monopoly. They are used to that, so they were never enough innovative. It's not that the people in China are saying, oh yeah, we don't want it because it's American. No, when you ask them, they're saying, why would I buy it? What's the reason that I would buy it? In the West, we are buying it because we think it gives us a certain status. It has an emotional value. It doesn't go in China. They have the situation that certain things have emotional value, but not with these kind of things. And that is the big difference. Another example is Tesla. Tesla cannot compete with the Chinese EVs anymore. Why? Just because they're not innovative enough. What is it? It's the same car over and over and over again. People don't buy it in the West because they care about the environment, maybe a couple, but the overly vast majority buy it because they think it's a form of status. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not a status. It tells other people that you are a fool to let yourself being ripped off by these people that have monopolized the entire market. And that is exactly why they are so against Huawei being in the West. That is why they are so against other Chinese EV in the West, because they cannot compete. And that is the difference. So I think we can even make an argument that the market in China is more free than in the West. Honestly.
The result? Falling prices, collapsing profits, and no one wins.
Well, that's not true. Falling prices, collapsing profits, no one wins. Well, the consumer wins. It's great. The consumer wins. The consumer finally, just imagine. Today you go and buy a bread. Tomorrow you go and buy a bread and you see, oh, it's 10 cents cheaper. Wow. Just imagine it. Imagine you go with your spouse to a restaurant. Last time you were there, you paid like $200. This time you eat exactly the same because it was such a magnificent dinner and you had a really good time. You want to relive it. All of a sudden, they charge you $175. You don't feel like a winner? Of course you do. And again, so this is from a socialist perspective. It is about the people. So many products are being made for so much cheaper. Everything is so much cheaper. So you're not going to charge more. In the West, we're doing it a little bit different. We are trying to make people addicted to the products or to the brand. And then we're going to raise the price and keep raising the price until people are paying $400-500 for a little bit of rubber with Nike on it. It's the truth, right?
That phenomenon is called involution, but essentially it's about the fundamental imbalance between supply and demand. This isn't just a competition problem. It completely crushes corporate earnings and slams workers.
Yes, it completely crushes corporate earnings. And that's kind of correct. Yes. But it doesn't slam workers' paychecks because the paychecks in China are pretty stable, right? But because they are stable and the prices are going down, they are now having more purchasing power. And that is why you see the people in China, even when they don't have a job, they just go out and have dinner. It's almost unheard of in the West, right? You don't have a job. How can you go out and have dinner? It's too expensive. How can you do all these kind of things, right? This is how you have these students in the West. They're saying, oh, lying flat, but they're giving a whole different thing. These students are literally waiting for the best job to come. And before that, they're just chilling, playing their games and doing whatever young students that just finished their study are doing. And they're just waiting for their job to arrive. And they can afford to do that. Just imagine, Americans, you just finished your study in college. Even if you cannot find a job, you will have to take that job in McDonald's flipping burgers because you have to pay off that debt, right? It's a sad situation, and I'm not bashing one or the other, just explaining the difference. Just something to think about.
Paychecks. Last year, 25% of Chinese listed companies made a loss. That's the highest percentage this century.
Yeah, so 25% made a loss, right? So I went on... this is about Europe. There's no single up-to-date percentage for the number of companies making a loss in Europe, as the figure varies by industry, age, and economic conditions. I don't know how they get it from China, but all right. Let's just read this. However, statistics show that approximately half of all new businesses fail within 5 years. And some sectors like coaching and digital solopreneurs may have higher failure rates. Conversely, the business survival rate can be as high as 92.2% in some areas such as Greece and as low as 74% in others such as Ireland. New businesses. Roughly half of all new businesses in Europe fail within their first 5 years. Failing. Let's see. There's no single, this is the United States, there's no single definitive percentage for how many US companies are making a loss, as statistics vary by industry and the time frame considered. However, some sources indicate that a significant number of businesses, especially small businesses, fail within the first few years, suggesting that substantial portion of new companies operate at a loss before potentially failing. Right? Small business failure rates, according to a commonly cited statistic from the book The E-Myth by Michael E. Gerber, approximately 40% of businesses fail within their first year and 80% fail within 5 years. This suggests that a large percentage of new companies are not consistently profitable. That's a lot. That's really, really a lot. All of a sudden, this 25% looks very, very small, right? This is what you need to do when you look at this, put these things in perspective. And again, it's a totally different economy. We should also think, why is it, if we think that our system is so great, that all these businesses are failing? I have to look if I can put it a little bit better. Oh, right? We should think about that. Why are they failing if our system is so great and the one of China is doing so bad?
2024, a third of companies cut jobs. This shows China is in a deep deflationary spiral. If consumers stop spending, businesses stop investing, the economy slows down, and debt piles up. Beijing is trying to hit the brakes. In July, President Xi Jinping and his top lieutenants ordered a crackdown on excessive consumption.
A crackdown? No, he didn't.
But with the property slump deepening and consumers too nervous to spend, most experts think the government's fix won't even move the needle. Our tracking suggests prices in China are set to fall for the third year in a row.
Great for the Chinese. I'm jealous.
This is the world's second largest economy.
Yeah.
The longer prices stay low, the greater the risk that growth will stall for years.
See how they're trying to scare you. And this is the way how they want to have you accept that our prices are rising and rising. Because there are people that are believing this. Not many, but there are. And it's just like very, very sad, because we are digging our own grave by accepting this. You name it. Anyway, let's go to the comments, because that's quite funny, right? Anyway, let's get to these comments, and they're quite funny. Price low is not a good thing? Are customers complaining price is too low? LOL. It's great for customers, but it can be a problem for companies and the labor market. We saw that in Japan. See, I told you, some people are believing this kind of things. Yeah, famously, how Tokyo is just way too cheap. What? Yeah, Tokyo is way too expensive. And that is why the people cannot buy stuff anymore. That is why they are going out of business. The government appears to have an answer for this within their ideological paradigm. Luckily, we have tariffs to save us from China's low-priced goods. I'm not sure if this one is being sarcastic or that he's trying to make fun, or she, whoever it is. No one wins, Lol. Yeah, I think consumers win. Yeah, definitely. The other one says, down with capitalism, the free markets must be regulated, competition must be reined in, otherwise our rich will lose money. Bloomberg sounds socialist. What? It's completely saying the opposite, looks like. And the other one, this is dumb. And this, I thought companies competing in the marketplace was called capitalism. Now they call it involution, as they want to debt trap China and increase Chinese EV prices. And then thinking and smiling emotion. Well, this didn't go really, really well for Bloomberg, obviously. And I'm always happy to see all these kind of things. That, people are waking up, and that's a good sign. Anyway, let me know what you think of this in the comment section, but please keep it respectful. We're not uncivilized barbarians, unlike some others. Please like, share, and if you have not yet, then follow. And as always, have a great day. Your favorite half Chinese.